Thank you, Debbie. Well, welcome to the Church of the River in beautiful downtown Memphis. My name is Christopher Douglas. I am not the minister of this church. I am not Sam Title. For those of you who may be here for the first time, for those of you who may be joining us for the first time in the live stream, I'm a member of the board, and I am just the worship associate for today, and I'll make this brief since there is no air conditioning in the church. Thank you all for being here. If you're interested in being a worship associate, please see Reverend Sam. It is one of the most fun and fulfilling things to do at Church of the River. Would love to let you know a little bit about our guest speaker today, my friend, Reverend Beth Lefevre from Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church, way the heck out east by Shelby Farms. She has been the minister of that church since 2011. Like me, a transplanted Midwesterner. She is originally from Indiana, and she has graced our pulpit before. So let us make her feel welcome after I turn the pulpit over to her. Announcements. I'm going to go quickly, folks. If assisted listening devices and large print hymnals allow you a better experience for our worship service, please request one from our ushers and staff, and at least one usher is waving his hand right now frantically in the back. We try to save church parking spaces for folks who are less mobile. Additional parking is available in the Channel 3 lot on Sundays from 9 to 3 for those who are physically able. That is mostly for those of you who may be here for the first time, will be coming back to see us again, we hope, and you don't have to go out and move your car now. Nursery and preschool rooms are open for children 4 and younger from 9:30 to 12:30. Please note that children must be registered before attending, but you do that with your phone. It's easy. Children in the sanctuary are always welcome, but if you and they prefer a more comfortable location from which to watch the live stream of this service, the Mississippi River Room is open, and if you don't know how to get there, our usher will certainly help you with that. Ages 5 to 12 can follow their teachers out for planned activities after the story for all ages. Take note of the QR code on the sign in the back of the sanctuary. It will lead you directly to links for the order of service and ways to donate and other important information. We have items left over from Pride Fest that people abandoned, including me. I'm an offender. Let's try to get those out of here. Let's see, who do we see for that? I guess we'll check in with Debbie to see if she knows where they are. Thank you. They're in the rear of the sanctuary. Let's see. The Girl Scout troop that has been meeting at the church every month this past year is losing their current leadership next month and are in need of a leader. If they are not able to secure leadership by August 28th, the troop is going to be forced to disband. This sounds like a movie plot. If you are interested, coming to Hallmark, please contact Rachel Rice or Debbie Heath. I'm sorry, I did not mean to make light of that. That is not funny. But we invite first-time visitors to fill out a visitor's form on the website or complete a visitor's card. If you are interested in joining Church of the River, please see an usher or staff member, and we will assist you. For more details on these and other Church of the River events and activities, email info@churchoftheriver.org, subscribe to our weekly mailing list, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. With no more announcements, our worship service will now begin. Think cool.
Good morning. It is a joy to be back with you. It has been a while, and I always enjoy coming here. For our call to worship, I'd like us to join in responsive reading number 441 in the back of your gray hymnals. I will read the bold print if you will read the italicized. To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars, before a flower, a leaf in sunlight, or a grain of sand. To worship is to work with dedication and with skill. It is to pause from work and listen to a strain of music. Worship is a loneliness seeking communion. It is a thirsty land crying out for rain. Worship is the mystery within us, reaching out to the mystery beyond. Let us be together in worship. Our chalice lighting words are by Eric Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Our opening hymn is number 1003 in the Teal hymnal. This is a round, but after consulting with Debbie, I've changed everything, so we're just gonna sing it through in unison, twice through, and each line you sing twice. I hope you want to notice that. So, is that clear? Yeah. Debbie will play it through once, and then we'll sing the whole song through twice, in unison. Please rise in body or spirit. Please be seated.
Morning. Now is the time in our service for the story for all ages, the time for all ages. As Sam always says, this is self-selecting. Anyone of any age is free to come down or not on a hot morning like this. You're certainly welcome to sit exactly where you are. My friend Beth is talking to us today about mysteries, and so the mysteries of life, how to live with the mysteries and celebrate the mysteries. Hi, Teely. And so when I thought about mysteries and I was writing this, the first thing, I kind of was doing what's the first thing that pops into your head? And because I'm in my 50s, Sherlock Holmes was the first thing that popped in my head when I thought about mysteries. Does anybody else want to call something out? If I just said mysteries and you're doing that test with the therapist, you just say the first thing. That's on my list too. Anybody else? Nancy Drew was on my list. Clue? Did someone say Clue? Yeah, the board game, the movie. Anybody else? Bob Hope? No, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Jack. Oh, Poirot. I'm sorry, Poirot. Very good. Yes, Agatha Christie, which is what my wife said. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. So, bravo or touche, and the Loch Ness Monster. So, one of the things that now I hadn't anticipated the fan blowing my paper. One of the things some people look to a religion to do for them is to solve a mystery, to give them an answer to something that they don't know. Maybe questions like, what happens after we die? Why bad things happen to good people? Is there a God? Now, some mysteries you can't solve. I don't think you can. Some mysteries you just live and experience. And that's one of the things that Beth is going to be talking to us about today. So no matter how hard we might try to understand some things, there are some things we can't know. We can believe something about some mysteries. We can hope for something about some mysteries, but there just isn't any knowing. I think part of being a UU is understanding that not knowing the answer to some of the mysteries is really okay, and that we can lean on each other or God or a God or music or poetry or lots of other things to help us live with the mystery. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Reverend Beth has to say to us about that. So let's raise our blessing hands to our children and ourselves and each other and say, you are beloved, you are powerful, you are sacred. Go in peace.
Thank you, Christopher. You just summarized my entire sermon, and now I don't have to preach it. I have two readings and then a third. My first reading is from Awakening by Forest Church. In this reading, Church is telling of an attempt by the mother of novelist D.H. Lawrence to attend to her son's religious needs. Regarding a sermon sent to him by a minister at his mother's behest, Lawrence wrote, I believe that one is converted when one first hears the low, vast murmur of life, of human life, troubling one's hitherto unconscious self. I believe one is born first unto oneself. For the happy developing of oneself, the world is a nursery, and the pretty things are to be snatched for, and the pleasant things tasted. Some people seem to exist thus right to the end. but most are born again on entering maturity. Then they are born to humanity, to a consciousness of all the laughing and the never-ceasing murmur of pain and sorrow that comes from the terrible multitude of brothers and sisters. Then it appears to me one gradually formulates one's religion, be it what it may. A person has no religion who has not slowly and painfully gathered one together, adding to it, shaping it, and one's religion is never complete and final, it seems, but must always be undergoing modification. Church explains, for Lawrence, conversion means awakening, opening our eyes, looking out with new wonder upon the creation, becoming not someone other than ourselves, but more fully ourselves. Through direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder, he has moved to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. And my second reading is from Returning by Dan Wakefield. Though I still attend Sunday school sporadically, I began to feel more spiritual refreshment out of doors, in the fields and woods not far from my house, in the burning leaves of autumn and the running streams of spring. I felt close to the source and mystery of things. The perfume of wet clover, the rough hide feel of the bark of oaks, rushes of wind lifting curled red maple leaves off the hard autumn ground in swirling eddies. These and all the million sights, sounds, and smells of nature, from the sweet taste of foxtail grass I chewed as I strolled, to the quick flash of a perch below the surface of a brook, all were revelations and messages of some great creating force. Sometimes I felt a frustration that I couldn't decipher the message, that I couldn't learn the meaning of it all, of life and earth, simply trying to communicate with nature. Staring, for instance, as hard as I could at a rock with layers of colors, or feeling its smooth, cool surface with my fingers and pressing it in my palm as if I could squeeze out an answer. I knew there were secrets in the woods, and sometimes I felt I was very close to them, close to understanding. And there was a thrill in sensing such knowledge was there, if only I could look close enough or be still enough or attuned enough. My third reading is by Natalie Goldberg in The Long, Quiet Highway, excerpted. Thank God for that rain out the window and for Mr. Clemente, who allowed us in 9th grade to listen to it for no reason in the middle of the day. That one moment carried me a long way into my life. I didn't know it then. At the time, I think, it made me a little nervous. It was too naked, too uncontrolled, too honest. In those days, I was watching my step, making sure I knew the rules, keeping things in control. I never felt that I fit in. I saw no one around me I could identify with. I tried not to be noticed. And here was Mr. Clemente, who asked me to listen to the rain, to connect a sense organ with something natural, neutral, good. He asked me to become alive. I was scared, and I loved it. Let us move into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. The spoken words for this morning's prayer are by Yolanda Fay in Sutras of the Heart. Walking through the end, the beginning is near. Forever seeing clear, with each step and each breath, the soul expands and yearns to be a part of creation, to serve you. Each turn, every flicker of light, it offers such delight. The threshold, the point of no return, ever so near, there is nothing to fear. Walk with me, sweet spirit, standing amongst the flower, ever reflecting the light, embracing the sweet fragrance of the sacred vibrations. Turn to your soul. Awaken the spirit. An opening has been there all along. Walk forward, trust and embrace the mystery, knowing that the beginning is the end, just as the end is the beginning. Let us consider these words in a time of shared silence.
We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit and to support this church and its many mysteries. Donations may be made directly to the groovy velvet bags making their way through the pews in the black box on the wall over the credenza by scanning the QR code on the sign at the welcome table via text to 901-350-2686 or on the website at www.churchoftheriver.org. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully given and received.
The title of my sermon is Mysterianism. I knew I wanted to delve into my infatuation with mystery today, so as I pondered possible titles, I came up with, to be understood, the word Mysterianism as a spot-on name for one of my spiritual leanings, and one that I think is shared by a lot of Unitarian Universalists who love living in the question, and that is question with a capital Q. I was so pleased with myself for coming up with the word Mysterianism because it was such a cool word, and I really don't think I'd ever heard it before. But then it occurred to me that it is such a perfect word that, alas, I probably was not the first person ever to have conceived it. So I Googled it. Wikipedia told me that Mysterianism is a philosophical position proposing that the hard problem of consciousness cannot be resolved by humans, that the unresolvable problem is how to explain the existence of qualia. Wikipedia went on to tell me that Mysterianism is the philosophical position that the mind cannot be explained in terms of physical structures and processes, and that the philosophy comes in two varieties: physical Mysterianism, also known as epistemological Mysterianism, and non-physical Mysterianism, also called ontological Mysterianism. Physical Mysterianism states that the mind is indeed a purely physical process, but that we humans lack the ability to understand how it works. Non-physical Mysterianism, or ontological Mysterianism, and ontology, of course, refers to the nature of being or to the argument for the existence of God, claims that attempting to explain the mind in terms of physical processes is a category error, like attempting to explain the operation of a steam engine in terms of the rules of chess. And just a few more tidbits from Wikipedia. In the philosophy of science, physical Mysterians have adopted the position that some problems are forever outstanding, and not because their solutions do not exist, but rather because the solutions cannot be properly conceived. This position is sometimes called transcendental naturalism or anti-constructive naturalism, although I prefer transcendental naturalism, which proposes that the human mind is unavoidably limited or closed in some areas of thinking, and so these areas are forever mysteries. How many of you knew that? And is it just me, or is that a dry bunch of words to explain the wonder and magnificence of mystery in our lives and in the world, which is where I was headed with this sermon? Writer Annie Dillard says, "We wake, if ever at all, to mystery." As I have become increasingly enamored with mystery, that indefinable, unfathomable something that encompasses us wholly, whether we care to pay it heed or not, I have done some more reading of Annie Dillard and also of Mary Oliver, choosing them in particular because they so often write of the wonders of nature, where mystery so eminently resides and can so readily and consistently be encountered. Let me quote Dillard again. "No," she says, "we have been asking, as usual, the wrong question. It does not matter a hoot what the mockingbird on the chimney is singing. The real and proper question is, why is it beautiful? Yes, yes. Why is it beautiful? Why am I amazed? Why this lump in my throat? How is it that we love? From where comes our depth? What is it that continuously calls us from dispassion? It does not matter what the mockingbird sings, but that but what in us responds to it. And not even what in us responds or why we respond, but simply that we respond. That is the mystery of which I speak, and which has so captivated my imagination of late for reasons I don't entirely understand. I can tell you, however, when this infatuation began. It was a long time ago. It began as I attempted to explain by email a question asked of me by one of my professors a long time ago. I was taking a class at the Lutheran Seminary in Chicago. There were 7 seminaries in and around Meadville, Lombard, and all students were allowed to take classes at every seminary. It was a very rich learning environment. So I was taking a class at the Lutheran Seminary, and one of our assignments was to attend a religious service of a faith different from our own, and then write a paper about the experience. I had attended a Roman Catholic Mass and written and turned in my paper. Now, I like to write, and I like religion, so I turned in a decent enough paper. But my professor believed something was missing. He emailed me saying he was going to delay giving me a grade in order that I might go deeper. What would you take away from the Roman Catholic service you attended if you could just do one thing? He asked. Please write about that and send it to me. Well, I began to type my thoughts in a kind of stream of consciousness way that I think enabled and enhanced my eventual personal insight. At first glance, there was little, I thought, that I wanted to take with me from that service. It had seemed ritualized and exclusive, with some elements, such as the music, touching upon the beautiful, but never really quite achieving that status for me. The homily seemed simplistic and unmoving, and having just learned in far greater detail about the atrocities committed by the early church, my view going in was tainted. I recalled wondering as parishioners filed in if they knew about Catholic history, and if they did, how they reconciled their faith with their history. An idealist, I can be pretty judgmental. This is not to say there were not things that I appreciated. I appreciated the beautiful simplicity of the modern building. I loved that they had altar girls as well as boys, and that women assisted with the Mass. I knew these were growing edges for the church. I appreciated that the church seemed family-friendly, with children being present for much, although not all of the service, and even wandering up alongside their parents when their parents went up front for communion. The people were neither excessively friendly nor unfriendly, but they did clear out very quickly after the service, no after-church coffee, a mystery in itself. I typed as I considered my professor's question, kind of thinking out loud. In a way, I'm finally coming to realize and acknowledge that though the service had appealed neither intellectually nor emotionally, I was aware it had appealed in some way. As I typed, I thought, I was not even sure to whom I was referring when I said that it had appealed in some way. I think I was referring to the Catholic congregation. I had the sense that it touched something within them. But as soon as I put the words to paper, as soon as I wrote that there was clearly some larger meaning there, I realized what it was, where the appeal lay. It was in the sense of mystery arising out of the service. I did not give in to the temptation to further try to think through to whom the mystery belonged, whether it was the mystery of transubstantiation, which Catholics historically profess, that is the communion elements once blessed by the priest actually become the body and blood of Christ, or whether it was some mystery in which I had become engaged in some enigmatic and powerful way. I did not try to decipher it, but instead simply allowed myself to give way to it, to give way to some great mystery, which now seemed very real, beautiful, and unknowable, and very relevant. We wake at all to mystery. I am truthfully baffled about how it happened, or even that it happened, and find it frustratingly hard to articulate. But it is not so hard to think about, or maybe not even so much think about as merely call to mind. I have since tried to be intentional about calling it to mind, this awareness that I reside in mystery, and find that deliberate recollection never fails to please me, to tickle me, if I may be more frivolous about it. It makes me happy, almost like a child who instinctively knows she has a whole fascinating world out there where the possibility for exploration is endless and ever beckoning. My response is like that of a child who, replete with the puzzles and wonders of the day, goes into that mysterious realm of sleep, knowing again instinctively that all of the abounding daytime mystery merely awaits the dawn. I have become relieved of that seemingly adult need to try to know it all, to categorize it all, to understand and explain it all. In recognizing the mystery tapped by the Catholic Mass, or rather my consideration of that Mass, in recognizing that mystery which beyond the religious everywhere abounds, I have been somehow awakened to the dawn. This should not have been a stretch for me. I have always professed to mystery. It is one of the ways in which I address that whom others call God or Spirit or the infinite. I have often called that something the great mystery. I have never known, though, just what I meant by that naming, other than that unknown something which is greater than myself, and in which and through I make my way daily. But now that something had substance, the substance of mystery or inscrutableness, which of course is not substance at all, but which is substantive. It is substantive and real, though so very hard to capture or explain, which is what we Unitarian Universalists are so driven to do. I have tried to articulate it, this newfound sense of mystery, at various times and places, usually with others from our own faith tradition, whom so often respond with some version of the comment one woman made to me. She said, "It's too bad that there's not much room for mystery anymore. We all know so much now." That is an understandable reaction. It is likely how I would have reacted before my conversion experience, as D.H. Lawrence would have described it. But I, who have really been changed by my newfound relationship with mystery, feel sad that I haven't been able to make those with whom I have shared this experience understand that our growing store of knowledge about how the world works does not diminish the mystery in which we are immersed. I found some quotes and comments from others with which to arm myself in this campaign. Charles Dickens once said, "A wonderful fact to reflect upon is that every human creature is constituted to be that profound secret and mystery to every other." Welsh author Arthur Machen wrote, "Every branch of human knowledge, if traced up to its source and final principles, vanishes into mystery." English essayist A.C. Benson, "As I make my slow pilgrimage through the world, a certain sense of beautiful mystery seems to gather and grow." But no one said it more succinctly than inventor Michael Pupin, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who said, "Look at those cows, and remember that the greatest scientists in the world have never discovered how to make grass into milk." Mystery abounds and in and beyond our knowledge, all the more so because in actuality there is no absolute knowledge. There can't be really, because everything is ever in transition. We may be well schooled in the properties of water and know well what lies in the pond's bottom, but that does not diminish the mystery with which we gaze into its depths, nor does it take into account the microscopic changes in the wake of a minnow's undulating tail, propelling it forth, stirring the waters we once knew, the waters we knew but an instant before. "Thou canst not stir a flower without troubling a star," wrote the poet. And indeed, all of our knowledge of necessity bows to the exquisite flux of rhythm and flow, rendering all things new, from day to day, from moment to moment, from nanosecond to nanosecond. So let us not regret the knowledge that may, upon first glance, overshadow mystery, nor let us over-glorify knowledge in the stead of mystery. Rather, let us celebrate both the knowledge and the mystery. The knowledge that irresistibly tugs us to learn more, and the mystery that ever beckons us into its alluring inscrutability. The knowledge that thrills us with new understandings, and the mystery that teases and enchants us with its murky, mystical boundlessness. Henry Frederick Emile, 19th century Swiss philosopher, suggested, "Let mystery have its place in you. Do not be always turning up your whole soil with the plowshare of self-examination, but leave a little fallow corner in your heart ready for any seed that the winds may bring." Or perhaps we could simply heed Thoreau, who wrote, "Tell Shakespeare to attend some leisure hour, for now I've business with this drop of dew. And see you not the clouds prepare a shower? I'll meet him shortly when the sky is blue." Amen. Closing hymn is number 1064, Blue Boat Home, in the Teal hymnal. And as you sing, pay attention to the sense of mystery evoked in the words, especially in the second verse, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. Please rise in body or spirit. As we leave this service of our gathered community, let us go forth hungry for knowledge, thirsty for mystery, and richly immersed in both as we engage fully, usefully, and enchantedly with life and life peoples. Amen, and blessed, blessed be.